Each week, nearly a dozen movies are released theatrically. 40 films a month, more than 400 a year. That's a plethora of cinema. Too much cinema. You'd have to be an addict to see all that. But don't fret. We've got you covered. This is CinemAddicts.
Hey everyone, what's up? It's a new week of CinemAddicts. This is CinemAddicts episode 50. Me and Eric Holmes and Bruce Purkey, we're covering movies that are coming out for the week of Friday. I'm thinking July 3rd, 2026. It's going to be a weird episode because not too much movies to cover. Not a lot of movies we were able to see for this week because it's a holiday week. Next week, we're going to be back to our usually scheduled reviews. So this is going to be an interesting week anyway because we have a couple of good movies to talk about. Plus, a Patreon assigned pick from Steven Schrock, that is the Lavender Hill Mob. Eric Holmes and I will be talking about that. Other movies that will be covered, the other two films are The Get Out, starring Russell Crowe, which Bruce Purkey reviewed. And then Eric and I have a review of Couture, Angelina Jolie's new film. And Eric, what else are you going to bring? Do you have a couple of recommendations or a movie that you want to talk about before we get out of here as well? You have a couple.
Yeah, we got We Are Pat documentary about It's Pat, and I'll get more into that. And Patterns, which is something you brought up when we were recording the Patreon episode. So
right,
we decided to do this episode a couple days later. And you know what? Let's just watch Patterns before then, and that's what it did.
And I apologize, I didn't get to the rewatch, but I do remember the movie vividly. So we will talk about Patterns, written, I believe, by Rod Serling. And we were talking about it. Actually started during our Patreon conversation, and Eric mentioned the term pattern recognition. Did I just go off on that? Dude, I hate this DJ Osmo thing here. Oh my gosh.
DJ Osmo's got a certain sort of pattern to it, doesn't it?
It has a horrible pattern, Eric, and I hate you, DJ Osmo Pocket 3. Hold on one second. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
You're sure it has a wonderful pattern, though.
Oh, thank you so much. And okay. Let's see if that works. Does that work? Friggin' A.
Yeah.
Okay. We are back. Yeah. So Patterns, Rod Serling.
One of these days, you're going to destroy that DJ Osmo, and you need to record it with another DJ Osmo.
Oh no, I'm gonna find myself a real. Once I get a couple of pennies together, I'm gonna find a DJ Osmo Pocket.
The Office Space when they bring that printer out to the middle of the field.
All right, living you know what out of it. So we have some stuff we're gonna be in and out on this episode but hopefully we'll give you guys some added value. Little bit of warning for our review of Couture. It'll be a spoiler review. That said, we will do a review spoiler free first, and then get into the spoilers. So make sure you fast forward through the spoilers if you don't want to hear it. It's not too huge if you accidentally listen to it as far as the ending and what happens. So don't worry about that in a sense. But we're going to be covering a lot more spoilers on CinemAddicts as well. And we will do those caveat warnings before we start getting into spoilers. So Eric Holmes, I don't know. I was going to start off with Couture and the Lavender Hill Mob, but I sort of wanted to start off with the movies you want to recommend. I sort of switch this episode up, and there's a documentary called We Are Pat. Eric, you interviewed the director. What can you tell us about this doc? I believe it's out on digital right now.
Yeah, it's Ro Haber, director. It's basically a documentary. I did that documentary Chasing Amy, and it was the filmmaker basically was a fan of Chasing Amy, and it helped him through certain points in their sexuality. And over the years, Chasing Amy was like seen as progressive when it came out, and people look back at it now and go, oh, that's not how LGBT works or whatever, or it's certainly at the very least dated. And then that's where we're at with We Are Pat. It's taken a sketch that Julie Sweeney created. It's Pat on SNL, and explores the popularity of the character, the movie. And the same thing, it was like people thought it was funny then. Is it still funny now? Is it offensive now? The most interesting thing about this is that Ro goes to gets Julie Sweeney, talks to Julie Sweeney, and there's that whole thing of Julie Sweeney's not dumb. She recognizes that almost right away that, oh yeah, this is probably, maybe this thing that I created doesn't quite hold up the way that, because Julie Sweeney wasn't thinking about that back then. Let's just make something funny. Here's a character I like and blah, 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 and we'll do it. And now they're putting her feet to the fire. And the great thing about Julie Sweeney is she was game for it. As, you know what? if I messed up, so let's have this conversation. And that speaks to me, that speaks very highly of Julie Sweeney, because just to be able to walk into something like that, knowing full well of what could happen and deciding to go anyway. And then Rohaber, they're the other side of that. They wanted to have an actual conversation for it. They didn't want to talk to Julia Sweeney in order to ambush them. They just want to have a conversation about it. Maybe it come out positive, maybe it'll come out negative. It'll come out however it comes out, but they want to have the conversation. And so that's what the documentary is. The It's Pat stuff is all preliminary to build up to that, and then from that, it's not what you think it would be going in. It becomes something much more interesting, and I loved it.
So, okay, it becomes interesting, meaning that you don't have to be a fan of that original SNL sketch to be
No, I mean, it would help if you're familiar with it, but they show you enough of it in the documentary that if you've never seen the It's Pat sketch or the movie, they show you enough of it to catch you up pretty quick. And that's also the point, because people that remember the sketch would be like, oh, it is what it is. They might have nostalgia for it, but the conversation, lots of new people being born, lots of people dying. And so eventually you're going to have a full audience for something that's never seen the original when it aired. They only know it in the current context. And that's part of where the discussion comes from. And also just that, and with comedy, it's like, hey, this thing was hilarious back then. Does it still hold up today? Probably not. Maybe it holds up better. Maybe it was ahead of its time. Who knows? But those are the talks they have with this. And yeah, Ro did a great job facilitating that conversation and making it, first of all, not ambushing Julia Sweeney. Was not that I think they would have, I don't think that was on their mind to begin with, but not ambushing Julia Sweeney allowed that to happen, and it made for a really good documentary. And
Very
not
cool.
one that you look at the cover and We Are Pat. Oh, it's a documentary about It's Pat. This will be cool. You get in there and it's like, oh, this is not, didn't know it was going to go this direction. And this is much more interesting than, oh yeah, the character was real funny and this is how we came up with it. And then that's all the documentary is. It's a lot more than that.
All right. So that is We Are Pat, currently now on digital platforms. Eric, what is your rating on this documentary?
I'm gonna go 4.5 on this. I think it's like a 4-star documentary, but I'm gonna give that extra half bump just because Julia Sweeney's such a baller that I can't stress enough how much respect I have for Julia Sweeney, saying, you know what, they might roast the crap out of me, but I created the character. They deserve to have this conversation. Let's do it. And then it turned out to be a great conversation and well within her favor. But there's no way she could have known that going in, and she went in anyway. So get the extra half star for that. And yeah, good job. Good job on everyone involved.
Okay, so that is 4.5 stars for We Are Pat, currently on digital platform. Review by Eric Holmes. We Are Pat. Tell us what you think of this documentary as well once you get to see this movie directed by Rohaber. All right, that is it for that. That's documentary. Now we're going from documentary to a working place drama, black and white, released in the year 1956, directed by their cook, that is, written by the Twilight Zone creator Rod Serling. The movie is Patterns. I'm going to read the plot summary, and if you haven't heard of Patterns, that's okay. As of several years ago, I never heard of this movie, just came across it, and I ended up loving it.
As of 4 days ago, I never heard of it either.
Right. So here's the plot summary. Quote, businessman Fred Staples, played by Van Heflin, is plunged into the rough and tumble of office politics at his new job when he learns that he's meant to replace the ailing vice president. And this ailing vice president, his name is Bill Briggs, played by Ed Begley. A battle of wills ensues between Fred and the ruthless company president, Mr. Ramsey. Mr. Ramsey is played by Everett Sloan, who is intent on humiliating Bill into resigning. Despite the urgings of his pragmatic wife, Fred resists losing his soul to the cold calculations of naked ambition. Now, this is a workplace documentary that I think, even though released in 1956, it's an evergreen type of movie, in my opinion, because what happens if you're the young person or the up-and-coming ambitious person and your job is to replace what you might look as your superiors? Some may say, hey, This is the cycle of life of in the workplace, and I just gotta make my money, step over that person above me, and hey, not my fault. It's company politics. It's the way the world works, Eric, right? That's the patterns of life. But
Yeah.
this movie takes a different look at that situation. Eric, your thoughts and your review of Patterns.
I mean, this is a really good movie. It's reminding me a lot of The Apartment. It's like simple premise, but it's got a lot more going on there. I think
Mm.
the biggest thing going on here is the ethics of what's going on. Mr. Ramsey, he's just, I'm running the company and what I say goes, and I'm going to do what's best for the company. Even gets to the point where he wants to do what's best for the company, even to his own detriment. My position in this doesn't matter. I'm in this position now because I'm the strongest and I care the most about the company. But if someone were to come and take me, which I don't know, we're doing spoilers on this because
No spoilers on what happens, but on Patterns.
there's a thing that happens at the end that he says that just solidifies that stance. But then you got Mr. Staples, Van Heflin. He doesn't know. I don't think he knows what's going on at first. I think there's a couple other people they pick up, like who was the secretary?
I didn't do the rewatch, so I don't know the name of the
The
secretary.
Well, the secretary that goes from Briggs and then they move her to Staples. And
Okay.
I think just the fact that they moved her to Mr. Staples, I think she got clued in pretty early that something's up, but wasn't exactly sure what. But anyway, once Mr. Staples figures out what's going on and that he's basically taken over for Bill Briggs, who also has the company's best interests at heart, who's one of the original founding members of the company and is still great at his job. Because I think Ramsey was like pointing out stuff, just nitpicking stuff, and in some cases just flat out making stuff up. Like with
I
the
forgot, Eric. Does Ramsey have a? He's not purely evil, right? Do you think he's doing what's best for the company, or is he very? Is he not?
he
Doesn't.
wants he
Yeah.
wants I think ultimately he wants fresh blood in it and he wants Bill Briggs out. I don't
Hmm.
know why. I haven't really picked up why exactly, but and especially at the end, I thought I had an idea, and then that contract thing shows up at the end. It was, oh no, yeah, he didn't care about that. I wonder if some of it had to, if this was it, they didn't really lean on it hard, but I wonder if some of it had to do with, look, Bill, you've been doing this forever. Let's get you out of here. Go retire. Well, because he said a number of times, Staples said it a couple of times, why don't you fire him? I'm not going to fire him. I want him to resign. And I can't remember why he wanted him to resign.
Mhm.
The optimistic side of me makes me think, Bill, you've served your time. Go retire. Go. Your health is declining. Just get out of here and go have fun. But then if you're going to do that, you would just have that conversation. Either way, he tries to, Staples put in a position once he realizes what's going on that, do I be part of this ruse against Bill Briggs to take over his job? Or do I have a backbone? Do I have the morals to stand by my convictions and just leave? Well,
Hmm.
you can fire him if you want, or he can resign, but I'm not going to be here for that. And that's ultimately what this is about. And then the gray areas and little nuances and stuff that maybe make that decision a little less clear than it would otherwise be.
Right, and Patterns culminates from my recollection in a third act that is very memorable. It is well, in westerns they usually have a showdown, sometimes a showdown at high noon. I know this is not giving too much away, but there is a showdown between Fred Staples and his superior, the president, like Eric mentioned, Mr. Ramsey, and it's a very memorable back and forth. And then there's something that happens as well, which surprised me, which we won't get into. But what did you think of that final third act when they go head to head, Eric?
The bit when they're going head to head and that, what's the word? Chef's kiss, I
Chef's
guess,
kiss,
would probably be the
right?
way to do it. That was probably one of the best innings I've seen in quite a while.
Oh, really? Okay,
And
yeah,
and
right.
it's not like a huge twist, and it's not like a car chase or explosions or anything. It's just two people talking, but the conversation they have with each other is, one, bonkers, and two, just perfect. Without saying what it is, it's hard to. and I don't want to oversell it because someone probably watching go, "Whoa, that's it? They were just talking." No, it's what they're talking about, and the fact that they were so brazen to say this to each other and to agree with each other on the
Right.
terms. I was like,
Right.
"What the hell is going on?"
That's true. That's true. Very interesting stuff at the end of Patterns. Again, it's a workplace drama written by Rod Serling. Eric, I'm so glad that you were able to see this. It's available on YouTube. We're not going to leave the link because maybe it might be available on streaming. Maybe catch it on streaming. I don't know. I think you probably saw it on YouTube, Eric, but really
Yeah,
love.
I found like 100 copies on YouTube.
Yeah, maybe
I assume it must be public domain or
public
something.
domain
I don't know if
any.
that's the case or not, but
Yeah.
this is one of those hidden gems. So like, well, like The Apartment or 12 Angry Men Patterns. Put that right up there with them.
Oh,
I
okay,
think
Eric.
this is just good. Because if you've never seen 12 Angry Men, it's a black and white old movie. I don't want to watch it. And then
A
you
lot
watch
of
it and go,
talking.
that's really freaking good. Pattern like that. Oh, it's a, yeah, I never heard of it and blah, blah, blah. And it's a whole black and white movie. And then you'll watch and go, oh, okay. Yeah, that's why they told me to see it. I don't know if it would be, I can't guarantee you'll love it as much as I do, but this is an easy 5 stars for me.
Oh, okay. 5 stars from Eric Holmes. All right.
Oh, I bet hour and 20 minutes to get all that done in an hour and 20 minutes. And it's completely satisfying to watch. Great characters, wonderful back and forth, interesting moral dilemmas that still hold up today. And they'll probably hold up forever because it's a moral dilemma. The setting's going to change, but the dilemma will always remain. And
yes,
yeah.
Eric. Moral dilemma, right?
Yeah, this is good stuff.
Eric, maybe this is exposing too much, but if you were the main character, Fred Staples, would you have, I guess without giving too much away, would you have done what he would have done, or would you have maybe gone the corporate route and done exactly what the boss would have told you? I guess that's a question that we should always ask ourselves with something like Patterns, right? Would we have been just another worker and have that person step aside and just take over?
I think in that situation, first of all, I wouldn't have quit. I would just stay the course. But I would always I would have an escape plan immediately. Because if they're going to do that to the person I'm replacing, they're going to do that to me. And so I'll stay the course because, hey, I'm here, I'm making good money, and that stuff's on them. And then as soon as I find something better, I'm jumping ship without warning. Because that's exactly what they did to the person I replaced.
Cool. I'm so glad that you saw
my morals go to, I know what's happening. I'm going to take advantage, but I'm also going to, I'm more than happy to F you over the way that you allowed me to allow someone else to get F'd over.
And we're assuming, I think, Eric.
And now what I would do might not be the most moral choice, but
yeah, I don't know.
I'm more vindictive when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I might be the coward. I might have gone the absolute corporate route. I don't know. Because again,
the thing about what I'm saying is I would go the corporate route, but I'm having an escape plan,
of course,
prepared immediately. So yeah, okay, you want them to, hey, and then at some point I go, hey, sounds like Ramsey wants you to retire or whatever. So what's that all about? Oh, this and that. Oh, maybe we should give that a shot. And then they either will or they won't. But either way, I'll be taking their position and then immediately look for another job. In fact, once you get rid of them, and then I get the position, I'll find another job immediately and hop right to that without warning. Hey, Eric, where'd he go? I just decided to jump before you decided to do that to me again. Well, we don't have a vice president. You should have decided. You should have figured that out before you used me to F them over.
Exactly.
Vindictive right here.
Eric is vindictive, but whether he's vindictive or not, Patterns is a 5-star film, according to Eric Holmes' review. Again, check out Patterns. Tell us what you think of the movie. It's written by Rod Serling. How can you go wrong? How can you go wrong on that? Now, let us go to, I guess, Eric, the Lavender Hill Mob. Stephen Schrock, he is a Patreon member. This is a Patreon assigned pick from Stephen Schrock. This is the year 1951. Quote, a meek clerk, played by Alec Guinness, and his buddy, Stanley Holloway, and crooks, they hijacked Bank of England gold and they turned them into Eiffel Tower souvenirs. And what happens is, since this meek bank clerk, played by Alec Guinness, everyone trusts him, and he's not a security person, but he's overseeing gold transports all the time because within his business, he gets paid a very paltry sum. He's living He's not a rich person. He's just scraping the bottom of the barrel, but everyone loves him. He's meeking out a very, just, he's not making money. But one day he comes up with this really great plan with his gold bars, gold bullion, because his buddy melts things into Eiffel Tower souvenirs. And he says, hey, maybe if we could melt the gold into Eiffel Tower souvenirs, we can have a whole bunch of Eiffel Tower souvenirs and make out like bandits with this Eiffel Tower stuff. And it's going to make us a lot of money. And they can sell it on the black market or whatever, and they could live high off the hog. The bank clerk doesn't have to work at that bank or institution anymore, and his buddy doesn't have to make all these souvenirs just to eke out his own living. And then along the way, there's a couple of crooks who help them with this weird gold heist. And that is the premise of the Lavender Hill Mob. And I forgot why they named themselves the Lavender Hill Mob, but they named themselves that. And it's a heist comedy, only 81 minutes. I have not researched what an Ealing comedy is, but Ealing comedies, Ealing, they came out, I think, in Britain for a period of, I think, around the mid to late 40s to the mid 50s, about 10 years. And I think Alec Guinness was in a bunch of them. And these Ealing comedies are very well loved, well reviewed. And the Lavender Mob is at 81 minutes, is brisk, it's fun, it's not forgettable. It's an unforgettable movie because, in my opinion, I liked all of these crooks. I love seeing them try to escape from the police. And it's a little bit of a madcap caper without being too crazy. I just thought it was very fun. And by the way, if you're a fan of Audrey Hepburn, she's in this movie for 2 seconds. If you don't see her, but she's
Robert Shaw is what was it? Oh, I can't remember now.
Okay, yeah, but Robert Shaw.
Chemist at Police Exhibition.
Okay.
So he must have been one of they had that scene where it's like, and you do this, and you'll see if it's gold, it'll do this, and if it's lead, it'll do this. Just happened to be nearby. And then they were going to test that, and they're like, nope, no, you're not.
And then, yeah, again, going back to Audrey Hepburn, she's in the opening moments, which is very good. The ending is very cute as well. And I think the big star of the movie is Alec Guinness because as a bespectacled bank clerk, he has a very proper way of going about things, but he's also very likable. I think the word likable applies to this movie as well because I don't know, it's just a fun comedy and it works really well and doesn't go above and yeah.
It's got that thing where the heist happens pretty early on and they get away with it. And then you're looking at the runtime, well, there's a ton of movie left. What the hell?
Yeah.
And then you see how everything seems to be going well until that one tiny thing goes wrong. It's, oh yeah, we sold 6 of them. You weren't supposed to sell any of them. What the hell? And then it just becomes this whole thing. I would say anyone watching this, the opening scene seems extraneous. Pay attention. Pay attention to that opening scene. It'll come up later on.
Oh yes, very good. The opening scene.
And it'll come on. It'll come up later in a very clever way, I think.
Very clever, very funny way. Opening moment is very cool because it is an introduction to present day, and the rest of the movie is essentially told in a flashback. That's not giving too much away. And I know, Eric, you're not a big fan of flashbacks, but this one is an entire flashback of a movie, and it works. It works because it's just so fun. And
well, that's the thing with something like this. It's like you do the thing, and then 2 days earlier, 6 months later, or whatever it is. It usually doesn't mean one thing or another. This does. And then that opening scene sets the tone, sets the pace of the movie. And then when you get to the end of the movie, that put a whole different context of what you saw earlier in the scene. It's okay. And see that's clever when they do stuff like that. They're not starting it off with a giant explosion just so they can cut to someone, wait, let's go back a bit, and then show someone waking up and brushing their teeth, eating cereal, getting ready for work, and doing a bunch of other crap that has nothing to do with anything. And then you get to that part with the explosions. And why did they put it at the beginning of the movie? Just because the actual beginning of the movie was boring, and they had to hook you in somehow.
Right.
And so it adds no more content. This doesn't do that. This is actually clever and well-paced and well-constructed story and movie just in general. Oh, and then Ealing comedies, you were asking, refer to a celebrated cycle of witty, satirical British films produced by Ealing Studios between
Right.
1947 and 57.
Very good. Thank you, Eric. And going back to the Lavender Hill
Characterized
Mob.
by mild eccentricity, clever writing, and dry irony, these films typically feature ordinary, working, or middle-class individuals banding together to politely outwit bureaucrats, criminals, or big business. In this case, they just steal money. They're just criminals, I think.
Yeah, they're just criminals. And I think when Eric was reading that the summary, politely, they're very funny criminals and the way they interact with each other. And there's a moment where they're supposed to meet, and then a couple of them are giving reasons why this meeting can't work. And it's funny because they're crooks, they're criminals, and they seem like normal people, but yeah, they're criminals, but they're very normal and they're very eccentric and they're very funny, and including, yeah, great film. I really love the Lavender Hill Mob. Thank you, Stephen Schrock, for this Patreon assigned pick. When I have time, I'm gonna watch more of these Ealing comedies because they don't take too much out of me. 81 minutes is awesome. I have a very fun time with this dry wit stuff, and I don't know. I think Alec Guinness is in a couple more of these, and I want to watch them. My rating for
it was a bit strange, like watching the main character is like that. He does a really good Obi-Wan Kenobi impression.
the Lavender Hill Mob, for me, I'm giving it 4.5 stars. Really had a good time with this movie, so highly recommend the Lavender Hill Mob. What about you, Eric?
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. I think I'll go 4 stars.
Okay. Yeah, very good.
Like, because I think Patterns, I don't know, this and Patterns, like back to back, like they're completely different movies, but they're both like we did the Patreon in 1951.
Yeah.
There's some good stuff back then, and this is one of them. I think as entertaining as it was to watch, I think a lot of the chase towards the end was got a little too silly. Like when they're walking down the Eiffel Tower and they get down, they're like, oh, like all dizzy. I'm like, that's not how that works.
Okay.
Or the running through the what was that, the police exhibition thing?
Mm-hmm.
It was a Keystone Cops sort of situation.
Yeah,
like putting up a fake wall, and the cops are like, nothing to see here, keep on going. And so some of the stuff towards the end was a little too silly, but yeah, there was some real good stuff, some really good stuff throughout the rest of it.
Yeah, so we both really enjoyed the film. Yeah, 4 stars from Eric Holmes, and 4.5 stars from me for the Lavender Hill Mob. Finally, we're gonna get to this movie called Couture. It is currently in theaters right now. It's 104 minutes, and here is a plot synopsis for Couture. Oscar winner Angelina Jolie stars as Maxine, an American filmmaker who comes to Paris during Fashion Week, drawn into a love story with a familiar collaborator as her path intersects with women of different ages and cultural backgrounds, all fighting to take control of their own destinies. Maxine finds herself on a deeply personal journey of self-discovery that forces her to confront the choices shaping her life. And this Couture plot summary is only a third of the way correct, because it's not just about her. There are 2 separate stories in this movie as well. And my bad for not actually looking up IMDb for the 2 separate stories, because even though her story is the one that is the most prominent, there are interlocking stories as well. Eric, your thoughts on Couture? You saw it way before I did, maybe even a week before I did. What are your thoughts on this movie, Angelina's performance, overall thoughts on Couture?
Well, this is not my movie, and so I'm surprised I loved it as much as I did. I think the stuff that I love most about it is the stuff that we can't really talk about. Although I've heard other people talk about the thing.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to it in a little bit, right? We can talk about it later in spoilers.
Yeah, the main thing is that Angelina Jolie, Maxine, she's doing a short film for a French modeling show.
Yeah, she's doing
fashion show
for fashion. In her film, it'll be a short, like you said, Eric. It'll be a short that she's directing, and it'll be an introduction to that fashion show in Paris.
Yeah, and then this I don't think this job specifically is what she's wanting to do her whole life, but she's been working to do stuff like this, and then this will be one thing they'll break her out to allow her to do other things. And then
she has a movie. She has a movie lined up right after this.
I thought she had the movie done already, and that's what got her the job.
You're right, halfway right on that, because she is a horror director, Maxine is, and what happens is because of she's a successful horror director, someone saw her work and they hired her for the job. But then after Fashion Week, she's scheduled to direct another movie, which supposedly is going to be even bigger. So these are,
Okay.
she's a very
Well, yeah, I
in-demand
mean,
director.
you've seen this a lot more recent than I have. So I certainly defer to you
But
on that.
it's two movies. It's two movies. That one movie before she got hired for to do Fashion Week, and then after Paris, she's supposed to direct another movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
But regardless, her career's finally starting to take off where she wants it to. And she sacrificed a lot. You see her constantly calling her daughter. Her and her daughter seem to have a pretty decent relationship, but you can tell that she's absent most of the time. And her daughter loves her, but is also resigned to the fact that, oh yeah, mom's not here, so I got to fend for myself. It's not like a situation where it's like, Mom, you're never here for me, Ma. It's just, oh no, mom's doing her thing, so I'm going to do my thing. And then Maxine gets some news, and then
Eric, you can mention the news because in interviews, Angelina Jolie talks about one of the reasons why she decided to do this movie, and that's
okay,
exactly so you can mention that, Eric.
okay, well then just keep in mind this happens. Look, I really like the movie, and I'm pretty sure Greg did too. So if you want to skip ahead, go ahead and skip ahead. But this is one of those weird things where I think it's a spoiler, but it's also the point of the movie. So how do you talk about it without talking
Yeah,
about
and it's weird
this?
because the fact that I know what you're saying, it's the fact that Angelina Jolie talked about it in interviews and the director talked about it, so it's okay. This is a spoiler in lieu of the actual movie, but
Yeah.
I think
I
it's
will say that what we're about to say doesn't ruin the movie
no, it doesn't.
because this is more of a character piece than the big reveal. But anyway, they look at like a cancerous or suspected cancer, and at first they look at it and it's like, oh, it's no big deal. And then she goes back to work, and then she gets a call from a doctor to see someone near where she's at. And they're like, oh, so you know? And she's like, what? I was like, oh, your doctor didn't tell you? I guess I don't know why, but yeah, you have breast cancer and it's really bad. We need to work on it right away. Well, I can't because I got to do this. And I don't think you understand. This is gonna go metastasize, and this is gonna be bad news if we don't work on it right now. We didn't catch this early. We don't have time to play around. We got to go right now. And then so
Okay, that's
it's
sort of
that.
yeah.
It's like I've worked my whole life to do this thing, and then now cancer's going to take it away from me. And then so the rest of the movie is her in her own head, sort of processing that, and then like even to the point where she goes to the doctor and she goes back and where were you? And it's like, oh, I was working on I had to check out some special effects or whatever. The people that she's working with, like she's not telling the only person that knows she has cancer is the doctor and her.
Right,
And so
right.
she's trying to get through this. And then her daughter's calling. Basically the rest of the movie is her coming to terms with that and seeing the fallout. And then what's she going to do about it? Is she going to stay working for this thing? Is this thing she's working for, is it even going to pan out? Is something going to go wrong and it's just going to fall apart? And then she would have put her life in risk over nothing. Is this gonna be a hit and then she's gonna go on to bigger and better things, but doesn't matter because this is the last thing she's gonna do because she's gonna die soon because she didn't take care of herself. Is she gonna drop everything and get the treatment? And then these are all the questions up in the air that is present throughout the rest of the movie. And
And then we
it's
also
really dang good. And it almost makes me forget about the other stories going on, which are also as compelling, I think.
and let me talk about the other two stories. First of all, there's this person. I'm going to mispronounce the name, Angel or Angele, Angel. I don't know how to pronounce the name. Played by Ella Rumpf, and she is a makeup artist. And you see the makeup artist, she's working on different models throughout the tale. And all of these three main stories, they intersect with each other. And they intersect with each other in a very subtle, very cool way. And I'm not going to say how they do intersect because those will be a little bit of a spoiler. But Angel, I'm just going to say Angel, and Angel? Let's just say Angel, played by Ella Rump.
Jolie.
Angeli, well, that could be. Anyways, the Ella Rump character, the makeup artist, she is not just a makeup artist. She's making money. She's going from job to job. She's very frantic in this movie, but very kind. What we learn later on is she also has dreams of becoming a writer, and she's using her knowledge of the fashion world, of being a makeup artist and collaborating with models and directors and different artists within that world, she's creating her own stories. And unfortunately, she's writing from her heart and soul. Will these stories work? Sometimes they may not. So while the Angelina Jolie character, Maxine, she's on her journey to figure out what's going on with her cancer. Also, how is her career? What's her career path looking like right now? There's that makeup artist who, although she has a job when she's making ends meet as a makeup artist, she has huge dreams of becoming a writer and telling her story. Will that pan out, or will she become jaded at the end of the film? The final story, and again, these stories swim within each other throughout the narrative. So there will be times, and there might be even 10 or 12 minutes when you don't see Angelina Jolie's character, when you don't see Maxine's story. You might see the story of Ada. Ada is an 18-year-old model. She comes into Paris from Kenya, and she is going to, well, that's not a spoiler because that's the beginning of the movie. She is set to open the fashion show. All right. She is at 18, a fresh face in the modeling fashion industry. The catch is her big dream is not to become a huge model. She also has dreams of going to pharmacy school, being a practical person in the field of medicine, right? And so each of these women have their respective dreams. And there's also, since she's 18, comes from Kenya, opening the fashion show, she's not as experienced as all of the other models she ends up living with for a spell. How is she going to open the modeling show? Will she stumble? Will she make a mistake? Will she make it? So there are a lot of different understandable anxieties among these three women, and that forms the heart and soul of Couture. This is it's a little bit too on the point symbolism, but I don't mind it. There is also a little bit, it's not even a fourth story, but it is a literal interstitial among the narrative. There's a seamstress who is crafting a dress, a very special outfit dress for the fashion show. And we see scenes of her stitching this dress together as a seamstress. And so the obvious symbol is this woman is helping stitch together these intersecting narratives that form Couture. It's written and directed by Elise Winocour, and it's also inspired by her own friends and family, the people she's known who've had to deal and fight with cancer. Speaking of which, Angelina Jolie, I believe she had a mastectomy back in 2013. Her mother passed away, I believe, from cancer, breast cancer. So a lot of this movie deals with cancer as well. And I'm understandably so. When you learn that, you might say, okay, I don't want to watch this, but I find the tales to be so involving. And I thought it was really resonant. And Angelina Jolie I've never seen her like this before. It's a very soul-bearing type of performance. As a filmmaker, you're really locked into her desires, her wants, her fears, along with those two other women. And there's a scene where the makeup artist, she's sharing her writing to someone else through FaceTime. I'm not going to say what happens with that meeting, but that's a very memorable scene. A lot of people, I'm sure, have been in that moment when they're sharing their art and their writing. I apologize. It's my friggin' DJ Osmo again. They're trying to share that writing with other people, and it's frozen. I hate this. Hold on, Eric. I apologize. 1 second, folks.
This meltdown has been brought to you by DJ Osmo.
DJ Osmo.
When you want quality, go elsewhere. But
go elsewhere. Horrible. I apologize, folks. Yeah, back. But there is a moment where she is FaceTiming another writer, and she's asking for advice on what she's written. And it's a sequence that I'm sure a lot of writers have been through. And it's a very interesting scene and very standout. There are a lot of standout scenes within Couture. It's immersive. It's well done. It's not overly dramatic. I think it's just also Eric, the doctor of Maxine. Do you remember his face? Vincent Linden or Vincent. I don't know how you pronounce his name. Vincent Linden, doctor. He was the lead several years ago in Titan. He was in Titan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I really enjoy this movie. Also, at the end, you're thinking, oh, disease of the week with cancer. All these stories about these women in Fashion Week. And I don't know if I can take this movie. It might be too heavy-handed. I will say this. the end of the movie, the third act, there's a lot of stakes involved. And Eric said, this is a movie that he didn't like, and I think he ended up really enjoying it. Actually, I was gonna say I'm like Eric, but I feel like this is a movie that I would have loved anyway. But yeah, I really loved it, and thanks to Eric, he told me to watch it. He recommended the film, and I followed suit, and I really loved Couture. My rating for Couture, I'm giving it 4.5 stars. I really love this film. I was gonna give it 4 stars, but 4.5 stars because I think it's just a close to perfect narrative and really resonant and well told and inspired. What about you, Eric? Your rating on Couture?
I'm at 4 stars on this. This is typically a movie, at least when it started off, I'm like, yeah, this is a Greg movie. This is not something I'm not gonna vibe with. And it won me over. A lot of it with the characters, but yeah, starting off, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a chore to sit through. And then once it got its hold of me, it didn't really let go and just kept getting tighter and tighter. I think normally a movie like this in a lesser filmmaker's hands, this would probably be like a 2-star movie for me. But yeah, it's so
Yeah,
4 is not perfect, but for me it's pretty high because normally I hate these movies. And
4.
This one pulled me along pretty well.
Eric, 4 is a great review. 4 stars for Eric Holmes, 4.5 stars for me for Couture, starring Angelina Jolie. Currently in theaters, running at 104 minutes. I really
and I do gotta say that I haven't really looked up all of Angelina Jolie's filmography lately, but she doesn't seem to do a lot of movies. So I'm starting to get the sense that if Angelina Jolie's in something, probably better pay attention. You might not like it. It might not be the best thing ever, but it's at least going to be interesting, right?
Yeah. And this movie was.
She's like the anti-Eric Roberts. Eric
Yeah.
Roberts will do anything. Angelina Jolie's, yeah, man, yeah, this looks good. We'll give it a shot. Or, nah, not interested. We'll wait for the next Kung Fu Panda. When they hand me a check, I can't refuse. But otherwise, I don't know. It'd be interesting to. I should probably look up interviews with her because I sense that she's got a similar vibe, and she can do this, a similar thing to DiCaprio, where it's like she's in a place where she can be super choosy about what she wants to do and what she wants to say no to.
Yeah, no, she's very selective.
Despite the haters, Eternals is pretty good. So maybe a bit long, but
Eternals.
I need to go watch that Supergirl because I heard a lot of people hate it, which probably means I'll think it's awesome.
Yeah, I think you might like Supergirl. I thought it was very, very good. But Couture, as far as Couture goes, it's 4 stars for Eric, 4.5 stars for me. We're gonna get into spoilers in right now. So Eric, Couture spoilers. What happens at the end of the movie? What do you want to talk about? Can I talk about first about the one scene that really got to me? Not made me cry, but
so the main spoiler I was worried about was the cancer thing, but I guess we already talked about that, and it's the filmmakers themselves are spoiling it, so I guess it's fine. But
yeah, well, Eric, what happens at the end of Couture? I think the final moments, you explained it really well when she's in that apartment that she's renting, or she's
So she finds out she has. I guess we'll lead up to that. She finds out she has cancer, and then she's just basically lying to everyone. Where you been? Oh, here, there. Her daughter's constantly calling for this and that, and you can tell she wants to tell her daughter, but she doesn't. And then at one point, what was it, the seamstress or was it the writer?
It's the writer.
Yeah, she tells, I have breast cancer and blah, blah, blah. And then she just lets it all out. And then from there,
it's the comfort of strangers. The phrase, the comfort of strangers. She was a stranger. She didn't know the writer. They're just end up talking. But
you can see a little bit of that relief. Oh, okay. I still got a lot to not look forward to, but at least I got that little bit of weight off my shoulders.
Mm-hmm. And then it's right before the show.
Well, they do the show, and then the show's going on, and then a hurricane hits, and then you have what was the
either storm or hurricane? I don't know. Ada.
Yeah. Well, the voiceover said hurricane, but then
very good.
It's also her. That's intercut with the other lady writing her story.
Right, she's writing the story.
It's hard to say if she's writing fiction and it just happens to be lining up with what's actually going on.
I think that's what it is.
She's taking, or if she's dictating what just happened.
I think she's doing her just taking real events and turning it into a tale.
Yeah,
she's an artist.
But either way, there's a storm of some sort, whether it's a hurricane or just a bad rainstorm. Well, no, because they also said that we got to go early to beat the storm. Either way, there is a storm there. And they're doing the thing, and then all of a sudden the rain hits, and then everyone's just bailing, like just running away. The wind's knocking stuff over, rain's getting everywhere, And then Ada's because like she was trying to do so good at her modeling walk.
Yeah, that's the biggest.
And this whole storm and chaos is just going around her, and
one of
she's
the
nope. I'm gonna finish this.
one of the biggest challenges of Couture, one of the biggest things or conflicts is Ada. The previous night before, she sprains her ankle when they're practicing the modeling walk over a night of just everyone's having a good time that night before the show, and she's with her fellow models, fellow roommates, and she twists her ankle, and she says everything's fine, but you can tell that ankle is tender. So a big part of the tense moments towards the third act is Ada's opening the show. Will she screw up? Please do not let her, you're thinking while you're watching, please do not let Ada fall because we've been following her journey and we're pulling for her. Don't let her fall. And Eric was saying that hurricane or storm or whatever starts happening. And it's very interesting because she doesn't fall. She doesn't falter. She has a good walk.
And the thing is, it wouldn't have mattered if she did because it was chaos. Everyone was running away. She could have.
Right.
She could have just taken a seat. She could have had someone carry her away. No, she was just being resilient. That this is what I'm here to do. This is what I'm going to do.
And
I don't care for the storm. I'm gonna push through regardless.
And to Eric's point, she does push through regardless, while everyone behind her and around her are understandably leaving because everyone is getting wet from the storm. And it's only, she sees herself on the big screen, which shows from my recollection, the introduction to the fashion show, which Maxine, played by Angelina Jolie, directed. And she sees herself with the big fangs. I think she's sort of playing a werewolf in the beginning.
No, it was a vampire.
Sorry.
Yeah, because remember at the beginning they had issues with, do they have to have fangs? It's a vampire. Of course they
Yeah. So she's
they kept going back and forth about just a bunch of stupid, that they were getting a bunch of dumb notes.
And so it's very cool because she sees from across the way the big screen and she sees herself as the vampire and she's standing proudly at what she sees. And across that way, under that screen too, from my recollection, is Maxine. And so both of these wonderful women, they are one of the sole people still standing amidst all of the rain and all of the wind as I guess each of them are in their form of reflection. One of them, the younger one, is so excited because she braved that storm and braved the storm of possibly making a big mistake, which she didn't, and she survived it.
I also think that coupled with the story that the other lady's writing hints that this is the beginning of her rise in modeling.
Yes.
Or just success in whatever she wants. Because
that's right.
And so it was like I don't know. I like how they play with that idea of what's real, what's not. Because the storm probably happened. Yeah, she's writing a story that's lining up with this. But the way everything's coming together, it doesn't really say anything because they're disparate events. But the fact that they connect in a movie, you can play with those ideas. We're going to take these two events that have nothing to do with each other, and you're watching them happen at the same time, and it takes on its own meaning. So it's greater than some of its parts, sort of thing. So now you get more story from other characters.
Well, I think the makeup, you mean the makeup artist, right? I think the makeup artist, when she's writing, she's writing actually at the event. Wasn't she writing at the event?
But she's doing, as she's writing, it's her narrating. While that event's going on.
Okay.
And it's during the storm, start of her new successful life or whatever.
Okay, because my read was when she's writing, there is narration, but I think it's a reading of what she's writing.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, you're right.
Her narration has nothing to do with what's going on, but it just happened to match in such a way that obviously the filmmakers knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
So filmmakers, you know what you're doing. You know what you did, but it's just a fun way to give their story without we're never gonna get that far because the movie's about over, but we know where it's going even though we really don't. We just assume that because of the way the filmmakers put it together.
And it's very cool because that writer who is the makeup artist, she had that, I mentioned that in the review, she is on FaceTime with another writer, a more experienced writer, who's saying that, well, basically he's telling her that the story's not interesting, and she's saying, but it's based on me, on the real life of what's going on. And he was saying, well, sometimes real life is sometimes not interesting. And it was very bad advice that he's giving her. And you could tell on the FaceTime, she's getting very emotional. And then to cap it all off at the end of the conversation, he says, oh, when am I going to when am I going to get my money? Which is understandable because he's being hired to help her as a writing coach, one would assume, but you can tell that he's not really invested in her as a writer because the advice he gives is just, yeah, not so interesting. And you're pouring your heart, but it's not very good advice. And he's still at the end of it asking for money. So it's very cool at the end, like Eric was saying, when that event is going on and she's writing about the stories and what's happening, she's writing within, she still continues to plug on and write in her own voice. And she's still engaged as a writer, even though she's had that setback with that horrible advice from that writer on FaceTime earlier on in the film. And then what happens to Angelina Jolie's character, Maxine, at the end, Eric?
So her and Anton.
Her cinematographer. Anton's her cinematographer.
Yeah. First of all, I don't know if that's the way you approach someone to have sex if you're working with them. It might be a bit too forward.
Yeah,
unless you're Angelina Jolie, then most people are going to go, yeah, sure, let's do it.
And kissing in public at a party, at a work party is a little bit sketchy too.
In general, probably not the best way to go about that. But
yeah, it's not very interesting. That's not very good. It's a tricky collaboration there, Eric Holmes.
Yeah. But anyway, they hit it off and become a thing. And she tells him, and then they go to a store, get some hair clippers, bang like rabbits for the night. And then she just goes and Anton's passed out and is in the bathroom grabbing the clippers. All right, she's about to go, and the camera pans out
to the outdoors.
I'm not quite sure. Yeah, it does that little spinny, the thing that lifts up in there and spins around, like swings or whatever. I don't know what that part. I feel like that represents something. I just couldn't piece it together.
Same here. Maybe life's a crazy thing, roller coaster.
Life's a whirlwind, man.
It's going round and round.
Yeah,
circle of life, cycle of life. I don't know.
But you get, Maxine was talking to her daughter one last time in the movie anyway.
I think the
idea is that it's not the last time ever, because it sounded like she was going to
stay in Paris.
So let's see. They finished the fashion thing, even though it ended in a disaster. She said she was not going to do that movie. So that was that movie that you brought up earlier.
Right.
She said she's not going to do that. And the daughter's, what? Why not? You've been working your whole... And then that also gives you some more insight to the daughter, who you never see in the whole movie. Or if you do, I don't remember seeing it. I just remember hearing her. But the fact that it's like, I'm not going to do the movie. And the daughter's, why not? This is what you've been working for. You should do this.
And the daughter knows that her mother's
like, the daughter's incredibly supportive, and it's not a situation where you've never been around, blah blah blah. So no, you need to do this thing.
But she's also saying, she's a little bit surprised because she knows that her mother hardly spends time with her because she's usually off on a film shoot too. She's like, why are you not doing this? Because that too. But
just her reaction to that tells me that she understands.
Yeah,
I have my dreams too. I want to chase those, and I want you to chase yours. And it sucks that we can't. It sucks that our lives won't intersect more. But that's what you want to do, and this is what I want to do, and we'll get together when we get together. But for now, go chase your dreams. And I actually wouldn't mind seeing a short, or maybe even a sequel, to where we see the daughter's reaction and then what hers and Maxine's relationship becomes. Because with Ada, we had that little bit with the writer, and then how it tells you what Ada's future is going to be without it actually. Because a lesser movie would have been like, so Ada, you did a good job. You kept walking when everyone else ran away. And here, we're going to have you do the Met Gala or whatever, a fashion thing that people would be a big deal from. Well, good job, Ada. You made the big time. You're now a success. They did it in a more artistic way. Said the exact same thing, but did it in a more artistic way. With Maxine and her daughter, I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, because there's so much. I think there's so much more story there between those two characters that we kind of understand a lot about her daughter with seeing none of her and hearing so little of her. It would be interesting to see Maxine say, "Hey, I'm back." So when are you gonna get back on? I'm not. I got cancer, and this is what's up. And then how she's gonna react to that.
Yep. Yeah.
And will it be like a cats in the cradle thing? Mom, that sucks, but I love to spend time with you, but I got this other stuff going on.
That's so tough. But anyways, that is it. That is our Couture movie review and spoilers. Thanks so much for supporting us here on CinemAddicts. Before we go, I did listen to Bruce Purkey's Cinem-Attic, And before he would have a different sign off, Eric, and this is something that it's a work in progress, Eric. He used to have a sign off where it's F ice, and every week I would have to bleep it or have AI bleep the bad word. Okay, so that was his previous sign off.
Ice.
F ice, right?
Suffice it to say.
Suffices to say, from listening to this week's cinematic, Bruce Purkey came up with a different type of outro, which I don't know, he might change or may not. It was, "We miss you."
I mean, I can co-sign the Vice.
No, right, exactly. It was, I think you mentioned something about "We miss you, William. We miss you, Mitch." And I would also like to say something that it's something that it's very tough. William Lindis and Mitch Burns, we've been talking about them a lot the past several weeks. Obviously, Eric Holmes, Bruce Purkey, and a lot of members of our CinemAddicts movie club have known them very well for these past several years. William Lindis and Mitch Burns, they were a huge supporter of our CinemAddicts movie club. That Mitch Burns created it. Moving forward, I think, I don't know, Eric, it would be cool if we sign off with something remembering them. A way we're remembering them, continuing to remember them, is through our CinemAddicts movie club every week. On the tchotchke level, I'm giving a Blu-ray and DVD to our movie club members who participate in our movie club. And what to join our movie club is just go on Facebook, look for CinemAddicts Movie Club. Every week, one of our members has a movie recommendation that for the people who participate and watch the movies, they will be entered into our weekly giveaway, which is a Blu-ray or a DVD or digital code. And that's cool. But the most important thing is we're a community and we can interact with each other and talk about movies a lot more. And the movie this week is The Sheep Detectives. All of this verbiage I'm spewing to you guys is because William Lindis and Mitch Burns were both highly engaged in movie talk, movie conversations, just like Eric Holmes and Bruce Purkey is and continue to be. All of these guys were. And one thing that I think is a failing on my part is when I created Cinema 2015 with Anderson Cowan, Anderson also gave me a good piece of advice is the way he builds community is organically. I don't know if he does it now. He would email back and respond back to people who email him. All right. All of these things are me being a hermit, as Eric knows very acutely, because Eric is also, for his jobs, he's out interacting with people. I don't like to interact with people in general. It's just, I do have my fake voice here. I talk to Eric and I talk to Bruce, but what people like William Lindis and Mitch Burns have taught me is it's not just about watching a movie and crawling into some hole and just giving it 4 stars and then putting it out into the podcast world. There's a lot more layers and more important layers to CinemAddicts. And in honor of William Lindis and Mitch Burns, what I hope all 3 of us and all 7 of us on the CinemAddicts Movie Club continue to do in honoring their memory is honoring also how awesome they are and how much they love movies, how much we all love movies. And part of that experience, as much as I love watching movies by myself and keeping to myself, a huge part of the joy of cinema is to share it with other people. And that's what hopefully we will continue to do with CinemAddicts Movie Club. Mitch Burns and William Lindis taught me that I should be better at that without telling me specifically. I learned from them, just like I learned from Bruce Purkey and Eric Holmes and Anderson Cowan on a given day. So hopefully, if you guys want to join our inclusive community, please check out CinemAddicts Movie Club. You'll hear more stories from about William Lindis and Mitch Burns and all that stuff. And I've been talking too much. Eric Holmes, you want to add any 2 cents before we get to Bruce? I was going to say Bruce Willis. Bruce Purkey over at the Cinematic. Anything you want to say?
Yeah, guys.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Eric Holmes makes me edit. I hate you, but I love you, Eric Holmes. Here is Bruce Purkey. Brevity is the soul of wit, and that Eric Holmes has a lot of it. All right, here is Bruce Purkey over at, as he continues to laugh. I love you, buddy. All right, here is Bruce Purkey over at the Cinematic. That was perfect.
Welcome to the Cinematic. This is going to be a very quick one. I only have a couple movies for you on this episode. This is a weird week where we didn't have a lot to cover. We were doing our Patreon and a lot of other stuff, but I got a couple movies to bring to you. One of them is we have a new screener for a movie called The Get Out, directed by Derek Bort, or Borte, I don't know how to say his name. I think it's Derek Bort. He did the movie Unhinged, which was a cool little B movie starring Russell Crowe as a a deranged killer just chasing some people around. I don't remember the exact details of the plot, but it was a lot of fun. It was like I said, a B-movie actioner. This is another movie starring Russell Crowe. I've got some other movies I could cover too. I'll give you a quick recap of the movie Keeper, the newest Osgood Perkins movie from last winter, but I'm not going to go too deep into that because it wasn't that great a movie. The Get Out, really quick. Stars Russell Crowe as Mango. You got Luke Evans as Joe. You got Benedict Hardy as Spence. You got Teresa Palmer. I didn't write down her character's name. And then Aaron Paul, famously from not Better Call Saul. Well, he is in there too a little bit, but from Breaking Bad. Aaron Paul plays Jeff. Russell Crowe. When I started watching this immediately, I was thinking to myself, Russell Crowe not only is just doing B movies mostly now, he's in this weird crossover where most of the time he makes B movies, but every so often he breaks out into a movie that's a little bit bigger budget or a little bit bigger profile. But he's doing stuff that's generally pretty entertaining, even if it's not great. This movie is, to me, definitely not great, but I think it's somewhat entertaining. To other people, it might be a lot entertaining. I bet you Greg and Eric enjoyed this quite a bit because it's way more in their ballpark. They love these Z-grade action crime movies. I don't tend to like them, and this is another one I didn't like, but I didn't hate it as much as some of those. It's just a very weird and unusually, I don't know, plotted movie. It's all over the place. It's a mess. And there's some parts of the mess I've enjoyed, and other parts of the mess I didn't enjoy at all. Overall, I didn't enjoy it. But the basic concept is you've got Russell Crowe's Minko. He's this Albanian club owner. Now, here goes. What is up with Russell Crowe and terrible accents these days? It's almost like he's just having fun doing bad accents movie after movie. He did the Exorcist, the Pope's Exorcist was one of them. He did a terrible accent in one of the Thor movies. I've just seen him in a lot of things. He just keeps I'm going to pull off a Swedish accent in this movie. Let's just try it. It's almost like what he's doing. This movie is Albanian, and he's this club owner. And this club owner that deals with the cartels, and he's laundering money and stuff for him. And I guess the basic concept of this movie is he wants to get out of that business. He wants to get out of the crime business, but he doesn't know how he's going to do it and survive because he's dealing with the cartel. Meanwhile, the Aaron Paul character, Jeff, has got... How did this work? Jeff, oh my gosh, how can I remember? I can't even remember how it works. He owes money to a guy because he helped the bad cop, get his kid into college illegally. Something weird like that. I've already forgotten in my head. And then somehow Aaron Paul owes that guy money. So Aaron Paul is going to go run a heist on the petty cash, which actually ends up being a lot of cash, that Russell Crowe's club produces. And because it's money that Russell Crowe is laundering, when he loses that money to the amateur robbery of Aaron Paul, of course, that's going to bring heat back down upon Russell Crowe. Are you already lost? I already am too, and I watched the movie. Anyway, there's this whole subplot about Aaron Paul trying to get out of debt by continuing to rob Albanian club owner mixed with cartel Russell Crowe. And then Aaron Paul gets joined up with a wingnut, fly off the handle, Bonnie and Clyde type girlfriend who he meets when he's trying to put his cash that he's stolen into a bank. It makes no sense. I'm telling you, it makes no sense. Anyway, like I said, that's your basic two lines are these: Russell Crowe trying to get out of the way from the mob, but keeps getting pulled back in, or the cartel, I should say. And then Aaron Paul trying to get out of trouble by continuing to rob somebody who's connected to the cartel, which doesn't seem like a very good idea either. It's just a lot of disconnected scenes, which with a better script could have been a lot of fun and maybe, I guess, Coen Brothers-esque or Tarantino-esque. I feel like this movie is trying to capture some of those flavors with all of the oddball, colorful characters that are all seemingly disconnected, all crossing paths. I guess that's what this movie's trying to do, but it ends up being a lot of stories that feel disconnected, mashed into each other, that don't make a lot of sense. Don't ask questions or the holes are all gonna start appearing before your eyes. It also ends, I know it wants to be Coen Brothers because it ends with the Gypsy Kings version of Hotel California, which was famously used in Big Lebowski. So you can't use movie song drops like that anymore when they've been fully adopted by a very famous movie. It would be like throwing Stuck in the Middle with You on here by Steeler's Wheel and say pretending like that wasn't in a Tarantino movie. I don't understand. One thing that didn't make sense to me was Russell Crowe has all his money he's getting from the mob and he's taking it to a drop, like a night drop, cash drop, I guess, to put it in the bank. I don't know. That's why he keeps getting robbed. I can't imagine that somebody would deal with that amount of money, especially money that he knows is connected and he doesn't want to have it in any danger. Why wouldn't he just have an armored car come pick it up? It made no sense. Or at least he would have a couple bodyguards with him if he's carrying around a big amounts of cash. He is a connected guy. He's not a stupid guy. But he's just walking around outside with it and getting robbed by Aaron Paul. It makes no sense. Oh my gosh. What else was there in here? There's weird music in here that seems disconnected to the mode. I guess it's trying to be funny. Maybe that's why everything's being a little bit flip. What else did I write in here? There's the thing towards the end. Once again, I'm not giving away secrets or spoilers. There's just a location at the end. It's supposed to be a rich drug person's house. Like you get that kind really tropey setting in a lot of these crime movies. The glitzy LA crime lord's house in the hills or whatever. And we get that scene. And the weird thing about it is, I don't know if it's supposed to be like modern art, like the person has a lot of modern art, because there's this place, it's almost like it's like a living room. I don't know what it is, but they've got all of these mannequins and it's like a beach scene with mannequins. And I'm just like, who has that? And especially the character we're watching doesn't make any sense that they would have that. It's like something that some quirky old rich art dealer type person might want in their house, maybe. But I can't imagine like a drug cartel guy having that. It would be, I would imagine more like the trophy things would be like a Velvet Panthers or some on the paintings on the wall or golden tigers or something. I don't know, but not this beach scene with mannequins. It's very weird. It's very odd. There's a whole other sub character, which is like a FBI or CIA guy. I don't even remember. It doesn't even make any sense either. Once again, you're getting the picture. It's a very disjointed, very odd movie with a lot of parts that are entertaining in their oddness, but I'm always feeling at least like this is like a whole bunch of ingredients that with just a punch up of a script could have been a really fun B movie, but here it's just like a lot of missed opportunities for me that made it like just a disjointed mess. I'm going to go 2.5 stars for the Get Out. Like I said, I'm guessing if it struck Eric and Greg right, they're probably at least 3-star banger or 3-star on this movie. I bet you they both recommend it because it seems more in their wheelhouse. If this is the horror movie version of this movie, I would probably like it because I more tend towards horror movies. And if they're a mess like this, I would probably enjoy the mess. Here, I didn't enjoy the mess as much, but I definitely had fun with parts of it. All right, that was the Get Out. And once again, like I said, short episode. Don't have a lot to bring you this week. It was a busy week with Patreon and everything else. The other thing I've got for you is Keeper. Caught Up with Keeper by Osgood Perkins. Once again, he's putting out like a movie a year. And Osgood Perkins is an odd duck because he's doing his own thing. I appreciate that. He's not making sequels. I appreciate that. He's got a really unique and odd style. I appreciate that. And sometimes it really hits for me, like Longlegs, which didn't hit for a lot of people, but I really liked Longlegs. Then he made The Monkey last year, which I did not like at all, but some people really loved it. It was a mess. He made Gretel and Hansel. I loved the Gretel and Hansel, really good. He made The Black Coat's Daughter, really cool, slow burn indie horror movie. I love that a lot. Keeper seems to be more along that category, but once again, a miss for me. Who you got in here? You got Liz, played by Tatiana Maslany. Probably know her best from Orphan Black. She's also in a brand new series I could review here, but a brand new series on Apple TV called Maximum Pleasure Guaranteed, which is a whole lot of fun. It's almost like Hitchcockian in that you got every man, and in her case, every woman, person, a mom, embroiled in a big, dangerous crime situation out of nowhere. Like I said, very Hitchcock, very man who knew too much a thing, or like a lot of James Stewart would get involved in these things in a lot of the Hitchcock stuff where he's just normal dude gets way over his head. She's normal mom gets way over her head. A lot of fun. Lifetime meets Hitchcock meets Z-grade sort of crime thriller. Anyway, that's not this movie. Here you got Liz with her longtime boyfriend, or at least very solid boyfriend, possibly fiance, Malcolm, played by Rossif Sutherland, the son of Donald Sutherland. Liz and Malcolm are going off to this beautiful wooded cabin, his family cabin. His brother lives in another cabin nearby, or lives nearby, and he's the black sheep, but Malcolm doesn't talk about him much. And Malcolm and Liz go out there to spend a wonderful weekend together, and very quickly after they get there, things just seem off. Things seem weird about this cabin. He's really obsessed with having her eat some cake that was left behind by a housekeeper. They have a housekeeper at this cabin, I guess. And just right off the bat, you know that things are odd. It also doesn't help that the movie starts with a montage of different beautiful women that seemingly, it's all from the point of view of somebody with them, but you don't see the person who's with them. You assume it's Malcolm. There's all these different women, and they're all looking very happy and in love, and then there's flash cuts of all of them screaming, bloody. So you get the idea like, okay, a serial killer killed all these women? Was it Malcolm that killed all these women? Does Malcolm take women he loves to this cabin and then murder them? Is this a serial killer? That's the immediate first thought I had when watching this movie. So you right out the gate, you have a feeling like something's not right here. And in fact, as a couple, they don't seem very well matched. You don't believe that they're like as this lovey-dovey couple that they're presented to be. Something just seems wrong. Anyway, it's a very slow burn. And you're just waiting and waiting for the shoe to drop and to figure out what's going on in this place. Why is she hearing scuttling sounds in the walls and above her? And why is she having dreams about Malcolm doing weird things? Or why is she having dreams about seeing weird things? And is this place haunted? Is she going to be a murder victim? Why is his brother visiting? And why does his brother seem creepy? And why is he leaving her alone there? And now she has to eat more of this cake? What is this cake? Is he trying to poison her? There's a lot of that stuff in this movie. And it's one of those movies that it really is, it's enticing you for a good chunk of it. And but you're waiting. Is the payoff going to be worth it? At least it's just a single movie. It's 90-ish minutes. I appreciate that. This would be the thing to be done as a whole series in Lost or something. And you're like waiting for the payoff and it never comes, and it's insufficient. Here, there is a payoff. It does let you know what has been going on. But what's been going on is done. For me, it doesn't work. It's laughable. And it really ends up basically undercutting everything we've seen beforehand. And it just feels a little half-baked. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I'm not going to spoil it for you. And for some people, it might work. It's got that one foot definitely in folk horror, fairy tale sort of stuff. But you really got to buy into the lore they give you. And they definitely give you an exposition dump in the last act about what's happening, which I also don't appreciate that. It would have been nice to discover it as a mystery that she unravels. It's partially there, but it's like she's trying to unravel the mystery, and then it just all gets given to us in a exposition dump. For me, unfortunately, I'm probably only 2.5 stars on Keeper. It just is on the edge of being good enough to recommend, but ultimately the ending and the wrap-up of everything is so dissatisfying, with such great mood and atmosphere and good, solid main character with Liz. I really like Tatiana's acting here, but I've seen her in the other series she's in now. She's so much more vibrant and able to just really have fun with it. And here I feel like she's held in, and it has to be this kind of very mysterious, quiet overall mood. And that just doesn't bring a lot of fun here. I just wanted this to be a little more out there. The things people hated about Longlegs is a lot of the stuff that's goofy, but I love that. I love it when it took the mystery stuff, and then it also had stuff that was just over the top and goofy in a way that if you bought it, it really put it over the top and made it a cool experience. Whereas here, the stuff that comes at the end is goofy, and it just goes, oh, that's what we're doing? That didn't really pay off very good. So yeah, 2.5 stars, unfortunately, for Keeper as well. And that's all I've got for you this week. Small But we do have our Patreon. If you haven't listened to our Patreon yet, and if you have our Patreon, you should get over there and check it out. We got 1951. We got some great movies over there. Thing from Another World, the remake of M, and the Lavender Hill Mob. And then I did a little Japanese movie called Claws of Iron, or Tetsu no Tsume. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. We should have a bunch of movies for you next week, as well as, a bunch of movies next week. I don't know what else I was going to say. And also my new closing, I don't say the F ice anymore, because we're going to go positive, and remembering our recently lost members of CinemAddicts. And that is, thank you, and we miss you, William and Mitch. Once again, if you aren't part of the movie club, go onto our Facebook group and you can see the information about that. We just every week try to watch stuff, and it's no pressure, but it's a great way to watch things you maybe not have seen before. This week we're doing Sheep Detectives because I've never seen it, and it just came out on Prime. Plus, it was a movie I'm pretty sure that Mitch would have loved. And I think William did see it. I think William did like it, but I think Mitch would have loved it. So it's just something I thought we'd check it out. So once again, we miss you, William, and we miss you, Mitch. Talk to y'all next week on a Cinem-Attic episode afresh.